The room is smaller than it looks in the photographs. Bare walls, a single fan slicing the warm Nebraska air into uneven breaths. Dust floats in slow spirals, turning the morning light into a pale, smoky column. On the desk sits a thick brown ledger. When the pages turn, they whisper, thin, brittle paper rubbing against paper. Every name inside is written in the same confident hand. A date, a dosage, a stamp, renewal completed. Then, deeper in the book, the handwriting begins to change. Fainting, persistent tremor, yellowing of eyes, secondary decline. Someone tried to warn the future quietly. This ledger is all that remains of a clinic that promised eternal youth for the price of a loaf of bread and delivered something far colder. What really happens when immortality is sold instead of earned? The 1920s were not only the age of jazz, they were the age of miracles for sale. Newspapers promised cures for aging, baldness, tuberculosis, nervous exhaustion, and anything else that troubled the modern American body. Patent medicines arrived by mail. Traveling healers carried suitcases full of tonics, elixirs, powders, and pills. Science was advancing faster than regulation could follow. The new obsession? Glands. Intricate research was exploding. When Serge Voronoff claimed he could restore lost vitality by grafting monkey glands onto humans, people didn't laugh, they lined up. Against this backdrop, a small brick building opened outside Omaha, Nebraska in 1923. The sign on the door read, Lytel Vitalic Clinic, Restorations, Rejuvenations, Renewals. Inside worked a man named Aubrey Lytel, age 39. Not a licensed physician, but in a world hungry for hope, that barely mattered. For $5, he said, he could give you something priceless. Aubrey Lytel believed aging was simply glandular starvation. His explanation went like this: when the glands weaken, life weakens. Feed them again, and life returns. His $5 Vitalic treatment combined 3 components: an injection, a cloudy emulsion made from mashed animal glands, filtered through cheesecloth and mixed with alcohol; electrical stimulation, a homemade device he called the Vitalic machine, delivering 12 to 18 volts through 2 copper pads placed on the lower back; and a tonic, a bitter brown liquid of herbs, alcohol, and trace minerals. He advertised it as a 5-minute procedure for 5 extra years. And unbelievably, it worked. For a little while. Patients reported warmth, improved mood, clearer thinking. The electrical buzz gave a temporary high. The alcohol-laced tonic sharpened the senses. Testimonials poured in. I can work a full day again. My memory returned. I feel 20 years younger. The Omaha Herald even ran a glowing feature in 1924 calling Lytel the $5 Immortality Man. Lines stretched outside the clinic. Farmers, war veterans, tired mothers, aging businessmen. People didn't want eternity. They just wanted to feel alive again. And the ledger filled with names, page after page after page. But behind those names, something else was happening, something Lytel never accounted for. The first collapse happened in late 1924. A 52-year-old farmer named Grant Myers fainted in the waiting room after his second treatment. Lytel dismissed it. Weak blood, nothing to do with the treatment. But Nurse Lillian Carver, who worked quietly in the back room, wrote down the incident. Later she would say, "If something is repeated, it is not an accident." More patients began returning with complaints: shaking hands, rapid weight loss, dark urine, persistent dizziness. The electrical machine caused small burns along the spine. The injections, made without sterilized equipment, introduced low-grade infections. And the tonic, it contained more alcohol than anyone realized, creating a cycle of withdrawal and return. By early 1925, the Nebraska Health Bureau recorded a rise in gland-related infections in the Omaha region. They didn't name the clinic, but the correlation was impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, Lytel increased the dosage, more extract, longer electrical exposure, stronger tonic. He told patients the reactions meant the treatment was working. Nurse Carver knew better. She began secretly copying charts, 47 of them, into her own notebook. Her entries were methodical, clinical. Severe tremor, sallow skin, decline in appetite, unable to stand after session. Third treatment ended in collapse. In 1927, 3 patients died at St. Luke's Hospital under similar circumstances: fever, organ strain, rapid deterioration. All 3 had been treated by Lytel within the last month. The ledger shows their names, each with a small circle and the word secondary decline. That was when the journalist arrived. The Omaha Herald reporter, Gerald Witt, started asking questions in the summer of 1927. A quiet man, known for covering courthouse stories. His first clue came from the hospital. His second came from the whispers around town. His third came from Nurse Carver. She didn't hand him the original charts. Those might endanger her job. Instead, she gave him her notebook, 47 copied charts, symptoms, dates, handwriting steady and deliberate. Witt published his exposé on October 18, 1927. The clinic that sold Immortality for $5. It spread through Nebraska in hours. By the following week, the Nebraska Health Bureau seized the clinic for investigation. They found contaminated glass syringes, unlabeled tonics, gland material stored without refrigeration, electrical machines with exposed wiring, and in a drawer, the ledger. 312 names, 54 marked with secondary reaction, 8 marked with degenerative decline, numbers that could no longer be ignored. When investigators arrived to question Lytel, he was gone. He had left Omaha the night before, heading south toward Kansas. He was never formally charged, and the trail eventually went cold. All that remained was the ledger and the notebook of a nurse who refused to stay silent. It is easy to look back and call the 1920s foolish, to wonder how anyone could believe in gland potions, electric tonics, or $5 immortality. But that would miss the point. The truth is simpler. People were tired. People were aging. People were scared of losing themselves. And medicine, real medicine, was still finding its footing. In the aftermath of the Lytel scandal, Nebraska tightened licensing laws. The Midwestern Endocrine Society published warnings about unverified gland extracts. The Health Bureau rewrote sterilization guidelines for small clinics. Science learned something painful. When hope is cheap, harm becomes affordable. Today, the ledger sits in a climate-controlled drawer in the Omaha Historical Archive. The ink is faint, but the story is still legible. A list of people who paid $5 for a promise they desperately wanted to believe. A list of people who trusted a man offering immortality from a room with peeling paint and a humming machine. A list of people who deserved better. If you visit the old building today, the windows are boarded up, the floorboards creak under sunlight, and on the far wall, a silhouette remains. The shape of a shelf where bottles once stood. A ghost of the past outlined in dust. The story of Aubrey Lytel reminds us, when a cure becomes a promise and a promise becomes a business, who protects the desperate? Next time we explore another forgotten chapter, the surgeon who believed radium light could replace anesthesia, and why hospitals let him try it.